everybody. I said I wouldn't really talk about the Acolyte until I watched at least 3 episodes in. And now I've done that. I just watched the third episode, and a lot of people were saying the third episode is going to make you hate Star Wars, or it's going to be the downfall of Star Wars and all this crap. I'll start by saying, no, it's not. It really isn't. I think people are looking into this a little bit too deeply and a little bit too harsh in a lot of different ways. But I'll start with this. The Acolyte is not a good show. By any means, it's not a good show. It has an agenda. It's got a political agenda. Definitely has an agenda referring to the LGBTQ and their importance in this universe, for sure. That is there, especially in episode 3. But those aren't the reasons that the show is bad. Some people would say that, oh yeah, it is. For me, it's not. Say what you will about the agenda and all that kind of stuff that Hollywood's been doing. That's not the reason this show is bad. Because one thing that I liked about so far the episode is that it kind of takes a Rian Johnson approach from The Last Jedi, where, anybody could be a hero. It doesn't have to be a Skywalker. It doesn't have to be, Rey, who wants to be an adopted Skywalker. It can be anybody. And this one starts out with that. You have a character, Osha, here, who is pretty much fixing ships and doing things that droids should do, but she's force sensitive. And she was a Padawan at one point, and she left the Jedi Order for some particular reason. We don't even have information on that yet in the show, but you see that in episode 1, and you see a little bit of that in episode 2. And her twin sister, May, is essentially, they're kind of, I guess she's the acolyte of the show. They kind of say that. And she's obviously working on the dark side of things with how she uses the force. She's trying to kill 4 particular Jedi that we find out took her sister from this coven that they were a part of on a different planet. And so that's the show. 1 and 2, very boring. Episode 3, probably the most boring of the whole series so far, but it tries to do something that it didn't need to do necessarily. But I also see the importance of why they did it, and I kind of like it. This episode, it has this coven of witches, so that was already weird, that they use the force, but they don't call it the force. They call it like the thread, or something that can be used by anyone in any way, more or less, and it connects everyone. Now, we know, like a lot of times we've been told by the Jedi that the force, it surrounds us. It's in everything. It's in everyone in a particular way. You got midichlorians, you got all that kind of stuff. But this one, I kind of liked that they did try to change up how the force is interpreted by another group of people that, again, they're witches. So they're seeing this as a power that only they have, that people will find to be weird and that they'll hate. And so it shuns them. They were essentially exiled from wherever they were from. I was okay with that. I was like, you're not going to have the same Jedi way of thinking of the force in every group that you come across in this vast galaxy. Just like religion, it changes. Christianity looks different in many different countries, in many different cities, in many different ways of practicing Christianity. You have so many different versions of Christianity. So it's like, and I just use that as one example, but you see that with all types of religions. And the Force, in a sense, is kind of like a religion. I've kind of seen that in the way of Star Wars. And so to see how another group of people see it differently and interpret it differently and teach it differently, I was like, that's fine. I'm fine with that. The part is just how they're trying to make the LGBTQ part of it so important in this way of spoilers. It's mainly with the twins. They don't have a dad. They were essentially created by 2 women. One woman that held them, carried them, that she says in the show, and then another that created them.
I carried them. I created them. And what happens if the Jedi discover how you created them?
Probably using the dark side. Who knows? We don't get any of that information yet, but they allude that these 2 girls were created by 2 women and birthed. And so there's that part of it where it's like, okay, all right, what are we doing here? I do want to know how she was able to create them. Like, did she use the dark side of the force? Like, what's happening there? They don't go into it. They kind of skirt past it. I'm sure we'll come back to it. But that part was odd. That part was weird. But again, the show's not bad because of that agenda stuff. It's there for sure. And your taste for that or lack of will determine how much you enjoy this show. But overall, the show is just boring. And the dialogue is horrible. And it doesn't help that you have child actors that are trying to read some of these lines that are just really bad.
I won't let you leave. It's not up to you. You can't stop me. Yes, I can. How? I'll kill you.
And then knowing how much the show costs to create, a lot. like 180 million or something like that. And you don't see any of that in this particular episode. It all happens in this one, in the coven, as far as the location where this coven is practicing their magic and their different events and things like that. I didn't see where the money went. So it's just a little bit odd as far as the direction they're going with the show. I don't overall enjoy it. I like some tidbits that they've included in here. I think Lee Jung-jae, who's from Squid Games, he's the best thing about the show so far. Anytime he's on screen, it's great. I do think Amanda Stenberg, she's actually okay in the role. Like, her action scenes are actually pretty cool. And seeing the martial art side of the Jedi is different and very nice to see. But it just doesn't hold up to everything else that has not really helped this show, at least in these 3 episodes. Could it get better? Probably not. If the plot continues from how it's going with episode 3, no, definitely not. But again, I don't take it as gospel as far as how this group sees the Force. You're going to have various interpretations of what the Force is like and how it's told or taught to people, just like we have religion today. So I wasn't mad about that. I really wasn't mad about anything, to be honest. It was just weird to watch it and think, are they trying to like change the perspective of how people see the Force? Or is this just one group's interpretation? And that's really what it is. It's a galaxy far, far away. A galaxy. So again, it's not going to be the same thought process on things as the Jedi have. I do also think it was cool seeing the Jedi in a different light. You're seeing it from the Coven's perspective in this episode, so they look like the bad guys. I thought that was kind of cool too. So there's little aspects that I think they could have ran with in a different way that could make this show a lot better, but they're focusing on some of the wrong things. And the approach is not that great because, again, the dialogue and the writing has not been good at all. Plus, it just feels very small and not in a good way. Not like it's focused necessarily, just feels very small, like it's not Star Wars. It's trying to cosplay as Star Wars. So that part's a little weird too. But that's me. I don't know. Those are a few of my thoughts. We're 3 episodes in so far. I'll start to do some reviews and thoughts on each episode moving forward each week. But as far as these 3, not very good. If you already weren't looking forward to this show, there's no reason to watch. I haven't watched Ahsoka, so this is one that I'm just getting into since, I believe, Mandalorian Season 3. And that season kind of upset me a little bit for different reasons. But I do still need to watch Ahsoka, so I'll catch up on that. But this show is boring. But I think if you look at it as more of like a what if within Star Wars, or even just an offshoot, far and away, far outskirts of the galaxy type story, that doesn't affect the main story, that's fine too. I think that's definitely more than okay. I don't feel like it's connected much to anything else so far because, again, it's about 100 years before the prequels. So we're not really seeing how it's connecting things, if it even will. If it doesn't, cool. I'm good with that too. If it does, let's see how it works. All we can do is sit back and try to enjoy aspects of the show. That's kind of where we're at with this at this point. So those are my thoughts. What do you think of Star Wars: The Acolyte? What do you think of the show so far? If you've been watching it, have you watched any episodes? Are you staying away from it? Let me know in the comments below. Again, the agenda stuff, it's there. It's not the reason the show is bad, though. And episode 3 is not the downfall of Star Wars if you look at it from the view that I have. In my mind, I don't think it is. I think it's cool to try something new and try something a little bit different, which is one of the reasons I do still like The Last Jedi, because it attempted. The execution wasn't always there, but it did try. And this one, it's trying. It's just not doing it well at all. It's the worst so far. So my thoughts there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys for checking this out. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and the like button. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.